The success of its collaborative partnership, is there any specific metrics or feedback mechanism in place? Maybe the customer experience, as you said. Is there any specific patterns you have set for?
Oh yeah, I mean, we measure these, we have KPIs, we have, of course, and we measure these almost every week to understand exactly, what is the flow on each other, what kind of service are we delivering, what are the main lanes, how can we sort of enhance each other sort of capability. There's definitely a lot of sharing in terms of information about how do you improve safety, how do you improve capability. And I think eventually I think customers really benefit from all of this. The fact that you're able to give a lot of our Asian customer access to South America today through these partnerships is a huge sort of metrics for a lot of their businesses. And again, we shouldn't forget also Dubai itself is becoming a real magnet for a lot of big manufacturers. We have international manufacturers today who are literally moving their distribution center here in Dubai simply because they want to take advantage of Emirates network, Emirates access to a lot of these sort of global markets along with our partners. So we've seen big movement of mega sort of manufacturing in different industries, whether it be it automotive, fashion, who've actually moved to Dubai, based themselves here, they've invested here, set up their whole entire distribution center for the region and the globe out of Dubai, simply because they now have the capability of moving their product straight into the market without having the product to go to a European central point and then do the trucking. So today I think with all the emissions issues that are surfacing, with the challenges that a lot of the manufacturers have with regard to sort of trucking, whether be it within Europe or USA, that has really created a lot of challenges and obstacles. We've seen what happened during certain times where you literally have a complete meltdown of trucking capability within US or Europe. And I think customers have kind of evolved and learned that, okay, I mean, having access directly to the market also has a huge value from their perspective. And I think that's what Emirates can sort of bring to the table due to our vast network reach and capacity that we have. All of that, I think, has really sort of contributed in a lot of these investment opportunities for some of these companies to come and base themselves here in Dubai.
Post-pandemic, there has been two factors which has been deeply discussed and more calls have been made. One is digitalization, the other part is sustainability. When it comes to digitalization, today the demand is more for digitalization. Everywhere you can find people speaking about, every industry basically is speaking about digitalization. But let us not forget that Emirates SkyCargo was the first airline to implement e-freight paperless shipments in 2009. So down the lane now it's been 15 plus years from then. What are the digital strategies you have been implementing now in order to impact on the modernization of the cargo operations? Because you have in partnership with the Cargo AI and Web Cargo as well. So how is the digital strategy Emirates SkyCargo has been doing?
And I think the pandemic was a great sort of eye-opener for the industry. And I think it was obvious that once the pressure was mounted on the logistic and supply chain, things have started to crack, and clearly, the globe have realized that there's a more investment that needs to be made in supply chain logistic in terms of building infrastructure, bringing in technology, bringing in robotics, innovation into this industry that actually is the main drive for the world economy. I mean, today, if you can't move goods and services around the world, the economy will come to stale. So obviously, there's a need for mega investments in all aspects of this industry to ensure that it remains a main supporter for the global economy. So obviously, I think from then onward, there's definitely been a lot of sort of investment in different areas. And e-freight is just one of the elements that one needs to look at in terms of, when do we actually move away from having to get rid of the pouches that we have flying with every single shipment that has to be submitted to customs and government authorities for them to sign off. That has to sort of disappear. And I think there's been a lot of initiative. There's been a number of countries where we have sort of taken the lead, almost the initiative on introducing e-freight to a lot of not just the customer, but the government authorities in those countries. And that's important. This is a partnership, cooperation. We all need to, I guess, understand the value of what e-freight brings to the table, and digitalizing a lot of these sort of documentation, paperwork, allowing a lot of these shipments to almost get pre-approved before even they reach the destination, becomes almost part and parcel of the new way of moving goods and doing business. And I think, in my view, I think those countries who will adapt the technology and sort of allow the technology to sort of automate some of the work that is probably being conducted manually today are the winners. Simply because, you today, I think a lot of countries have massive opportunity to grow their economy. But, when you close your door and put so much restriction, you're actually pushing away a lot of investment opportunity, a lot of, business opportunity coming your way. And the world is fairly competitive today. If you will not do it, the country next to you will do it. And then you end up losing the whole entire business and the opportunity. I think there is a realization of that we see today. And I think, therefore, we've seen a lot of countries for the first time have actually reached out to private industry to sort of really see what else that needs to be done, and how can we sort of channel some of these investments to help them actually automate some of their processes, some of their way of doing business, to allow them to move commodities seamlessly in and out of these countries, whether you're moving it into that country or if you're a manufacturing nation and you want to move it out of the country. So it's both ways. So I think there's definitely a step change that we're seeing in a lot of flexibility, a lot of adaptation to technology as we progress. And I think the next decade we will see a mega change happening across a lot of governments who will probably look at their infrastructure, look at their technology, and adapt this new way of doing things. And again, in the past, we've had a lot of challenges because the technology was just not available. And if you're a custom, or if you're a port authority, or if you're you've had difficulty getting the information that you require to make a judgment call whether you should allow the shipment in or not. Today, I think with technology, this has advanced so much, where not only you can just have the information, you can physically see the shipments, you can look at it, it's all of it is there. And with all the technology that we have today that is being built in our hubs, in our aircraft, it just gives access to so much information to these different government authorities that also gives them the comfort. I mean, they've got a job to carry out also, and we shouldn't undermine that. But of course, if we're able to provide that information well in advance, if we're able to give them the assurance that they have access, almost visual access to a lot of these shipments well in advance, then obviously I see no reason for a lot of these countries adapting the technology and allowing almost a free flow of some of these shipments across the globe. So I think the next decade will probably see a mega step change in that direction. I think it's for the best, it's for the better. And as I said, I think countries who will probably not adapt some of these things are going to fall behind, and it will only impact their economy, job creation in their own respective countries. So in my view, it's no longer a choice whether you want to adapt or not. I think that decision is made already. It's whether you want to be part of the world economy or not. And I think that's what it boils down to.
As you said, it's just, technology is not any hurdle. It's
an enabler.
It's
an enabler, absolutely. So, I mean, adapting it is absolutely essential.
And as you said, as a step out in a different vertical, now e-commerce has been doing very good. I mean, like recently, Brendan Sullivan of cargo head of IATA, he just said that e-commerce is expected to reach by 5.7 trillions in 2024, and in 2025 it will be around $7.3 trillion. As well as that, online sales has increased 21%, retail sales basically, which is 4 times more than that which used to be 8 years before. As well as that, now about 80% of cross-border e-commerce is shipped by air. So e-commerce is becoming a main thing for, very important factor for air cargo industry. So how does Emirates SkyCargo evolve itself along with this e-commerce sectors to meet the demands, unique demands of this sector?
Well, I mean, clearly e-commerce have grown substantially. And I think, again, during the pandemic, we've seen massive growth, almost like triple-digit, double-digit growth in some of these markets. So it's incredible the way we see it shaping up. I think clearly the new generation believe in buying things while they're sitting in their couch, looking at TV, and that's what my daughter do all day long. And we have so many people coming knocking our door today. It's almost non-stop. so it has become the trend. And I think this trend will continue. Clearly, with cross-border volumes that we see moving on e-commerce. I mean, honestly, if you look at how the industry is shaping up today, when you look at general cargo, you're talking about electronics, you're talking about various maybe other products, we have not seen actually any sort of substantial growth in mobiles, TVs. It has almost remained more or less flatline with few growth here and there, but nothing. On the contrary, we've seen actually a decline for some of the major commodities across air freight sort of products. Where we have seen the growth is the e-commerce, and of course that has really compensated big time for the straight line or even drop in normal commodities and gone way beyond that. So clearly I think e-commerce is an area where there's been, again, a lot of investment. This is a different sort of product that requires different level of details. It's not something that you can sort of club with general cargo and pretend like that's what the customer wants. No, it's not. Again, we've looked at it in a lot more details. There's a lot of work that's already been done to ensure that the speed of getting these commodities into the market plays such a major role. And again, we're lucky in a way because we have Emirates. We have Emirates Network, we have Emirates Reach, we have Emirates Frequency. I mean, you pick any markets today, if you're talking about a major city, we probably operate 3 to 4 flights daily to that destination, wide-body aircraft. So the number of frequencies that we have into some of these major metropole cities, I mean, you talk about Heathrow alone, we have 7 flights daily. It's just unheard of. Bombay so I think because of the high frequency, I think our ability to sort of move e-commerce much more faster. Buying things around the world today is the norm, and consumers already have access to a lot of these retailers. They've traveled to that country, they know the shop, they know their website. A lot of product, they already do free delivery within these countries. As a matter of fact, we have launched our own Emirates Deliver product a couple of years ago out of the USA, and recently we've just launched it out of the UK. And it's incredible. I mean, people have the ability to sort of go to any retailer in the USA, buy the product, deliver it to their virtual address in the US, which we provide, and then from there we can literally deliver it. Why? Because we have the frequency and out of the USA or out of the UK, and we can easily pick it up and deliver it almost to their home. And I think that's the power of Emirates Network. That's why I say we're quite lucky, because that investment, that capability already exists. It's now up to us to really make it work in the customer's benefit. And I think we need to do a lot of work there, but the opportunity definitely is there.
Any expansion plans of Emirates Delivers for wider Middle East region? Of
course, I mean, we have already launched Kuwait just recently. The next plan is to probably look at Saudi Arabia maybe. But to me, I think, our part of the world, when you talk about the Middle East, Indian subcontinent, Africa, I mean, we have massive capacity into a lot of these countries. Any of these cities today, I mean, if you can promise the customer that, look, you can buy anything you want from Europe or USA and we'll deliver it to you next day, wow, I mean, that sounds great. Or even the same day sometimes. That's the power, I think, of network that becomes quite difficult for others to really replicate. And as I said, the sheer size of our aircraft that we operate gives us that huge capability into a lot of these even smaller market compared to maybe some of the other operators who still operate narrow body, with hardly any space left after you picked up the number of passengers.
Moving on to sustainability initiations,
Yeah.
because aviation sector has already took the lead role in bringing down the carbon footprints. So we are talking about eVTOLs, we are talking about hydrogen lithium batteries, we are talking about SAF fuels as well. Even the Emirates SkyCargo has been in collaboration with more companies like Shell Aviation, Nest. What are your promises for eco-friendly flight operations?
From Emirates' perspective, I think we've been absolutely clear that this is not something that we just want to greenwash. I mean, this isn't about big promises and not unable to deliver. I think today the reliance on technology and science to be able to actually deliver the SAF in the rightful quantity for us to sort of use is essential. Bringing those sort of different SAF fuel costs at an economical level is essential. These are the sort of fundamental questions that needs to be sort of addressed first. I mean, to me, I see that there's almost like an attack on aviation, that aviation needs to sort of do something about this. It's not the aviation who needs to do something about it, it's the science that needs to do something about it. I wish we could fly these aircraft with water, that would be fantastic, but we're not there yet. It might happen one day.
Exactly.
But to me, I think that's what it's all about. And I think, you see a lot of hypes today about, SAF and the fact that it's an alternative energy source. But again, your strive of the quantity, there's just not enough production of SAF. And that's the major big question. And the second issue is that even if you wanted to produce SAF in a larger quantities, you're going to have to compromise a lot of land that you need to actually grow normal fruits and vegetables and feed the nation.
Okay.
So what takes priority then? So, these are the key fundamental, I think, challenges that faces emission and how do we sort of address it. I think some of the European countries have already taken the lead of, penalizing airlines and airports if you don't meet certain criteria. But if you're unable to get the quantity, how would you do it? Are you forced then to sort of ground your aircraft? Or that doesn't make sense. So to me, I think one would have to sort of really look at all of this. Of course, having said all of that, I think we as an airline are committed to IATA declaration by, that 2050, we will still adhere to that and deliver that, of course, provided the science and the technology evolves and we have, hydrogen, we have different method of energy sources that could be available that are much more friendly to the environment, cleaner, and that allows us to use that. But honestly, I don't think today we're at that stage, but I think there's a lot of efforts. I mean, Emirates have just committed almost to a 200 million investment just in this field to ensure that we actually contribute in the research of evolving some of the, different energy production for, aviation. So we're serious about it. It's just the science needs to catch up.
Yeah.
And until that happens, honestly, it's just a big greenwash and we just don't want to play that game.
In line with Dubai Economic Agenda D33, how is Emirates SkyCargo actively contributing to Dubai's goal of becoming the world's largest logistic hub?
Yeah.
Can you provide some insights into the fleet and network expansion plans for the coming years?
Well, I think it's quite interesting. I think D33 strategy this year, which was announced by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, one of the main pillars of the D33 was supply chain and logistics. This is the first time actually where we've seen supply chain and logistics becomes one of the main pillars in Dubai strategy, which is very promising. And clearly, again, Dubai being one of the world's biggest probably, or one of the most important trade nation, I think logistics and supply chain plays a major role. And clearly that gives us a huge boost. We know that today the government is committed to sort of put in the investment required to build the proper infrastructure, the roads, the rails, and everything else that needs to happen for us to be able to operate successfully. I think we're one of the probably lucky and unique cities in the world where we have an opportunity to build literally a brand new airport. Not a lot of countries have that, and I think, as and when that takes place and happens, obviously we will have purpose-built logistic cities that allows us to do even far more than what we're doing today with our huge expansion plan. Of course, the airline is definitely expanding. There's no question about it. Our growth will continue. I think this year we already have 5 brand new freighters that are joining the fleet. These are all 777Fs. We also have signed up for conversion aircraft. So these are the conversion from 777ERs to freighter conversion. And we've signed up already with IAI for 10 conversion, which is also in the pipeline. So definitely, I think we're looking at growing the capacity very rapidly over this coming year. And of course, we continue to source capacity as and when we can on an ACMI basis, which we have 3 of. So even though we say that we have 11 freighters, we have additional 3 ACMI 747-4, which we use. So total freighter we operate today is almost close to about 14 freighter. We'll grow very rapidly. But I think the most important element is that we're going to continue to grow our passenger aircraft. The new aircraft that is going to be joining the fleet starting next year, or actually this year, is the 350, which is again cargo-friendly aircraft, allows you to have incredible capability, almost closer to 20 ton per flight or 25 ton per flight, depending on the destination. So as our passenger fleet grows, 70% of our capacity still comes from the passenger side of the business. And as that grows, I think it just makes it completely different sort of in terms of growth and proposition that we will have. And again, as I said, unlike a lot of other operators, we don't have narrow body aircrafts. All our aircraft is wide body. And therefore, when you look at our capacity growth compared to others, they might have more aircraft, but we don't have smaller aircraft. So in terms of cargo capacity, it's quite substantial. And I think that probably what distinguishes us really from the rest is the fact that it is a significant capacity growth that we will have on the passenger side. And some of these aircraft, we look at the 777ERs today, they are almost a freighter within their own rights. When you have a daily flight going to a city with 25 ton daily, that's almost sending 3 freighter to that market every week. So it's not like sending 737 with 1 or 2 ton. And I think that's probably what people don't realize, but this belly capacity is quite significant. And these 777s are, I call them mini freighters, to be honest. That's what we've called them during the pandemic. We used to call them mini freighter when we operated them only for cargo. So it's quite an interesting.
Thank you for joining with us, Mr. Nabil Sultan. We'll catch up with any other events coming in future days.
Thank you, Arshad. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. We appreciate it.